Welcome everyone. Today I will be talking about this weekly analysis of the sky and how we are going to be reaching the full moon on the 31st, May 31st on Sunday. So we are going to see that the sky is going to be in a really big tension between some planets that are really complicated themselves. So intention is a kind of a difficult moment, and not only for the world in geopolitical astrology, but also for you in your personal life. And we are going to see that the full moon in Sagittarius is the culmination of something where we are going to see some truth about the reality that we are living on this moment, and something that is going to be so clear for the world and also for you in your personal life. It's a moment, especially the full moon in Sagittarius, is going to be a moment of a big definition in terms of political relationships and geopolitics, the rules between countries and everything that is happening in the world with the conflicts, and also for you in your personal life, because this is a moment where you are going to see some truth about your life, about yourself, and about that route that you think you are going in your life, maybe your goals, maybe the things that you say that you want. But the question here is, are you really going there with your everyday actions, or are you going against yourself if you see the truth about something? So it's important that this week you take these events really serious, because every one of them are going to be making you feel the tension, as I said before, something maybe that you are struggling with, but this is important because the struggle and the tension is only here to show us what is really happening, what aspects of our lives we are maybe kind of keeping the same way that they used to be, and maybe we are telling ourselves the story that we are having this big change, this big breakthrough. But in your actions, in everyday action, maybe you are going against yourself, okay, against that flow that you say, you know, you want, or you are saying that you want to become somebody, and maybe your actions are not aligned. So we are going to start with the 26th of May today, that we have here. You can see in the chart the square between Mars and Pluto. Then we are going to talk about the square between Venus and Saturn. And at last, we are going to talk about Sagittarius new moon. But in this analysis, I will be only making for you the introduction. But it's important that you work with these questions and these themes that I'm going to be talking about. And then I will be making a full video with the structure of the full moon specifically. So I welcome you all and invite you all to subscribe and share, and leave me your comments. How are you feeling this end of May? Because May was a month really, really, with a lot of movements, a lot of things, astrologically speaking, everything that we are seeing happening in the world. And I am sure that you are feeling it too in your life. Maybe moments where you feel like you are blocked down, and maybe moments where you feel the breakthrough of your mind, because Uranus has started direct with the sun and this energy has exploded. But it's important that now that May is getting to this end, we can have some conclusions about it, because June is going to be starting with a lot of movements. Again, we are going to have Jupiter changing sign. Also, the lunar nodes are going to be changing signs, and we are preparing the territory for the first eclipses in Aquarius and Leo. So let's start with May 26th. Today, I will show you here the square, okay? We have Mars in Tauro and is in square with Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto is retrograding right now, and I think this is kind of an aspect because the tension between these two planets is really strong, okay? Because the essence of Mars is the war, is a conflict. It's also the actions that we take in our lives. And Pluto is, the big destroyer. He's here to change everything, the rules of the game, especially. And they both are the rulers of Scorpio. One is the modern ruler, and the other one is the old ruler in the astrology, um, the faraway astrology, but it's the real astrology in the end of the story. So these two, Mars in Toro, this is important because Mars in Toro in geopolitical astrology speaks about money, about land, about the economy that produces, extracts, and nourishes. Toro is in the sign of material value in its most concrete form. This is really important, okay? The crops, natural resources, agriculture, the productive chains that sustain the real life of the nations. Mars occupies the territory from the first house in the ascendant of this chart, what becomes activated in the physical economy, real production, the force that generates wealth from the earth. So these are going to be the themes from the next months, okay? The resources and the battle for them. The productive force collides here in an exact square with Pluto in Aquarius in the 10th house. And the 10th house in astrology, geopolitical astrology, is the house of the leaders, where the government is positioned, and also is where the power is defined. Okay, and Pluto is generating there a lot of changes in the way that those leaders are reacting to the circumstances in this moment, okay? So the 10th house, the institutional, the power, okay? Governments, global command structures, institutions making decisions about how the world economy is organized. It is the power that does not touch the earth, but decides who can access it, okay? At what price and under what conditions. So they are defining everything, okay? So here, the friction, the real economy that produces, which is Mars in Toro, versus the systemic power that regulates it, okay? What can we expect with this square? The agricultural and natural resources sector globally has spent months at a tension point. Disputes over land, water, critical minerals of energy, and food supply chains are not like in a recent conflict. They come in this process since I think February, okay? And we are going to see tensions in commodity markets, disruptions in production chains may emerge, and Taurus governs that existing in Earth, and Pluto in Aquarius governs who will control in coming decades. So I think something is going to be in the surface, okay? Something that maybe the governments are not saying um, out loud. They are like trying to, you know, to control the situation and maybe the information. But I think there is something coming about the resources and the change of the chains of production, and that is something that people will feel really soon. And I doubt that the people is understanding in this moment the consequences of the conflicts that we are having active in the last months. Okay, so we are going to see on Friday. Okay, on Friday, May 29. I will put the chart for you to see. Okay, it's here. I will take this one. Okay, we are seeing this chart now. And here we have the square between Venus and Saturn. Okay, and this is important because Venus always is talking about peace, is talking about agreements, is talking about diplomacy. But right now it's in the square with Saturn. That Saturn is kind of, is this big wall that we we shock, you know. And I think that is going to be making really complicated these intents of agreements, especially the ceasefire that we or the people are talking about in terms of the conflict in Middle East. And Saturn there is going to put some structures, military structures especially, and I think will be really difficult to have some kind of agreement of peace because they are like in two different structures. One say they want something, the other wants the opposite, and they are not available for real to uh, find some point of encounter. So May 29, Venus in Cancer square Saturn in Aries, from the third house to the 12th house. This is the cost that nobody is announcing right now, and everyone ends up paying, especially you and me, especially the people, society, okay? The population. Venus in Cancer is the resource that protects something, especially Cancer is a sign of the people because the ruler of Cancer is the moon, and the moon is the population, society, quality of life, conditions of life, everything that is related to that. And this Venus in Cancer is not talking about the speculative capital, not the money moving through markets. It's the system that sustains those who depend on it. Okay, so the support network that makes everyday life bearable for most people. Cancer represents the people in their most concrete form. Okay, in the third house, that energy operates through communication, rational agreements, and close relationships. Saturn in Aries in the 12th house is the restriction arriving from places people cannot see right now. So, like I said before, I think here is something coming about the restrictions of the resources that anyone is talking about. And soon, but really, really soon, especially when Chiron enters in Toro in July, uh, I think we are going to see that effect. And that effect will be shocking your daily life financials. Okay? So, Aries acts unilaterally without consultation and without negotiation. Okay? Aries kind of, they or he do what he wants. So in the 12th house, what operates is institutional shadows. Remember that the 12th house is the house where we don't see clearly things, okay? What determines living conditions without passing through public deliberation. The square between Venus in Cancer and Saturn in Aries is a picture of how power decisions always get paid for uh, for in the same place. The resources that protects Venus collide with the limitation imposed from above Saturn. Okay, and the cost is not abstract; it's concrete. It's domestic. It's everyday life. It is food prices rising without anybody voting for it. Healthcare budgets begin cut as a condition attached to agreement processed inside institutions nobody elected. So be prepared for these things. Okay, what we can expect about this aspect and this tension. The first is economic and social. Um, I think here we are going to see policies restricting spending in social welfare, healthcare, and full support system processed this week through supranational institutional or unilateral executive decisions produce direct consequences in the everyday life of vulnerable populations. Also, these are like not future measures, okay? These are appliements or adjustments that are going to be applied now, felt immediately for every one of us. The second dimension of this Venus Saturn squaring is in the dimension of diplomatic, okay, diplomacy. Venus rules agreements, negotiation, but in the square with Saturn in Aries, with what appear to flow, okay, maybe like the leaders are having those conversations, okay, but now they are going to be, like I said before, um, I don't think they are going to get some agreements for real. The rigidity Saturn's impose blocks what surface diplomacy had attempted to build. Okay, so I think the populations are depending on those agreements. Um, you know, if the leaders really wants to take care of the people and that these consequences not getting to them, but I think it's going to be too late. Okay, so then we enters in May 31st in the full moon. I will put the chart here so you can see that. Okay, we can see here the full moon, but we have to understand that we are getting in the full moon with these two uh, tension moments between Pluto and Mars and Venus and Saturn. These are really strong and complicated planets, and getting into the full moon, especially full moon in Sagittarius, that is talking about international relationships, borders, commercial relationships, laws, everything that is related with the theme, okay, is showing us that this conflict is far away to be over, okay? So let's see. The full moon in Sagittarius, okay? The full moon is always something that is ending. Neutrality is not longer possible, okay? I will show you here the full moon so you can see it in the chart. Okay. What was planned reaches either maturation or rupture. What has been growing in darkness come into the light. Every full moon is showing us something that cannot be hidden, okay? Because it's a big moon of light. The ideologies, especially here, that organize societies and collective system belief, because it's the ninth house. The ruler of Sagittarius is the ninth house. The ninth house is ideology, philosophy of life, beliefs, the justice, the system justice is the truth, okay? So, international law, courts arbitrating between nations, geopolitical blocks sustained by a shared vision of the future. So, the Sun in Gemini in opposing from the 11th house to the Moon, from legislative bodies, institutional state projects, fragmented information moving across multiple channels. The tension is structural and that is not resolved easily. Um, Here we have to understand that Gemini moves a lot of versions of things, multiplicity of narrative that are coexisting right now, without without uh, the without the truth. I think we are seeing a lot of announcements, speeches, but I think that who is controlling the narrative right now, but not necessarily the truth. Okay, Sagittarius demands synthesis. It demands unified truth. even when that truth is uncomfortable, okay? When the opposition activates through the full moon axis, um, we are going to be in a big examination of which institutional narrative, which storyline that circulates smoothly this week, thanks to the trine that we have with Pluto and the Sun, can withstand confrontation with the deeper truth that Sagittarius is going to be illuminating, okay? And which collapses when the moon exposes the thing or the theme completely, okay? I think here we are going to have more notion maybe about this sense of agreements or not, you know. Also, we have here in this chart Pluto in the seventh house, which always is talking about foreign relationships. And this is talking about the destruction of it. Some alliances that are going to be really, I think some alliances are going to be broken down and maybe forever, you know, like the structural map of the alliances worldwide is in a moment where everything is changing. So, um, also, we are going to talk about this aspect of Neptune in sextile, okay, the Sun and Neptune in sextile in Aries, because this is adding uh, more more complexity to the situation because Neptune is confusion. We don't see clearly something, okay, and it's kind of this moment where everything appears to be something, but is not necessarily the truth, okay. Um, so what we can expect with this full moon, okay, Sagittarius govern international courts, international criminal courts, international legal institutions that over the last 2 years have experienced unprecedented pressure from multiple simultaneous fronts. This full moon may bring a major ruling, a consequential public declaration, maybe, or a visible institutional rupture within the share. A process already underway carry prudential timelines and decisions dates positioned this week as a period of potential concrete movements. Sagittarius also governs major long-term ideological alliances and geopolitical blocs sustained by shared visions. I think pacts, alliances, agreements that are negotiated during this week become exposed. What seemed consolidated may reveal the fractures. What seemed broken may discover unexpected common ground. And the full moon in Sagittarius reveals what exists, okay, without a filter. So we are going to see this really, really in the big scene, you know, in the big screen. So also for this week, we are going to see the information for you, maybe for you in your personal life, and how this week um, is going to be affecting you, okay? So this week is not about doing more, okay? It's about understanding that there is a life structure that has already become outdated and needs to evolve, okay? The week begins with Mars in Tauro squaring Pluto in Aquarius, showing a very concrete tension between what you produce and the current system where you are trying to position it, okay? There are economic habits, work models, ways of offering what you do, and support structures that may have worked for years but are now becoming too small for who you are becoming. So, this is really important because I think it's a moment where we need to make some changes. And as I said in the introduction, maybe we think we are going to some direction, but our actions are not showing that, okay? The image presented in the analysis is powerful. Why? Because 3 is not the problem. Simply is the moment where you are wanting to see something important in your life. Okay, this energy pushes you to review what you are still sustaining out of habit, where your time or energy is going towards something that has already reached its ceiling, where you continue accumulating instead of moving resources strategically, and what part of your stability depends on nothing changing. Okay, but this is a moment where everything is changing, so you have to adapt to that. Okay, in Friday, where Venus in Cancer is squaring Saturn in Aries, and when it becomes the most uncomfortable part of the week because it forces you and me to look directly at what you have been carrying for too long. Okay, relationship, projects, responsibility, dynamics where you give more than you receive. Saturns appear where boundaries should have been established for long ago. And when we do not place that limits ourselves, life eventually places them for us, usually in a much harder way. Okay, so there are emotional habits, relationship patterns, ways of taking care of others, even strategic or financial commitments that no longer make sense but continue existing simply because they become familiar to you. The lesson of this transit is understanding that holding on to something is not always love. Sometimes it's fear. Fear of emptiness, fear of change, fear of letting go, an identity built around what you carry. This energy does not open doors, it creates structure. What needs to close begins making itself obvious for you. Okay? So finally, we have the full moon in the 21st, and this is a culmination of this energy. Everything that moved during the week arrives at the point of maximum clarity. At this point, it's no longer about finances and everything that we talked before. Uh, it becomes about direction. Where are you going with your life and the things that you say that you want? This is asking one central question: where are you actually going? Not where you say you are going, not where you believe you should go. Where are you really daily decisions meaning? Which is the purpose of this long term visions. Okay? Remember that Neptune adds another layer because it can either bring tremendous clarity of create a beautiful narrative to allow us to continue, you know, avoiding an uncomfortable truth. So it's important that you can separate maybe what are your ideals about something and what is the story that you are telling to yourself, and you know that that isn't the truth. The deeper work here become examining whether your current life is being built through conscious a choice or through inertia, because moving forward does not always mean moving toward the right destinations. Sometimes people stay busy simply to avoid realizing that they are exhausted. The full moon asks you to examine your direction before you speed. Okay? So, then we are going to talk about this full moon more specifically and profoundly. But I leave you all this information for the week and for you to can be more prepared maybe for the culmination at the end of the week. So thank you for watching and share, and I see you in the next video.